Paging Neil Matthews. Paging Neil Matthews. We have a new patient for X-ray. Hello, I've paged our host, Neil Matthews. He will be right with you. In the meantime, please find a seat, take a deep breath, and relax. Welcome to Season 19 of Other People's Shoes, called X-ray. We're exploring what we call sight beyond sight, taking a deep look into the unseen damage and aspects of people's lives. We hope you leave today with encouragement, advice for facing similar challenges, and even a perspective shift. After hearing from our guests, we hope they give you the sight beyond sight. Here's our host, Neil Matthews.
Come in to Other People's Shoes. I'm your host, Neil Matthews. Thank you so much for joining me today. Really excited you've waited through the waiting room. Now listen, has anybody gone to the doctor and just been appalled and maybe even a little annoyed by the amount of paperwork one must fill out just to see the physician? They want to know everything. They want to know your history. They want to know everything. They want to know, did your great-grandmother Susan have whatever? And you're like, I didn't even know my great-grandmother Susan. I didn't even know I had a great-grandma. Ancestry.com needs to maybe help us out with some family history. Just throwing that out there. One thing you have to make sure you put on the form is your name and maybe even your date of birth. So it's interesting because today's guest has a name that invokes so much in me, and she didn't even know this because I didn't tell her this on purpose, but it's the name Mary Beth, and there's a story behind that. Maybe we'll get to it if there is time, but help me welcome in, hailing from the Bengals country of the world, the Reds are nearby. I think I got them all in there. Help me welcome in my new friend, Mary Beth. Mary Beth, how are you today?
I am doing great. I'm excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
We couldn't get Joe Burrow, so we got you.
I'll take it. Whatever I can get.
We laugh because you're not really a sports gal.
Not really.
Yeah.
But I'm good at faking it. I'll go to the games with my friends. Not as fun, though, as when I was a drinker. That's for sure.
Joked in the green room, the Bengals can make you drink. So there is that.
Absolutely.
Especially this year. When I was in high school, I don't know why we did this, but we all came up with nicknames at times. I had a really embarrassing nickname, some would say. I think it was kind of a nickname of honor. My nickname was Goose growing up.
Goose.
Yes, Goose from Top Gun. Yep.
Top Gun.
85 Top Gun. I have a really good friend to this day. He is in my phone as Mav, truly.
Ooh.
Somewhere along the way, my wife, Elizabeth, sounding similar perhaps, somehow grabbed or somebody named her Mary Beth.
That's interesting. So I was named after Mary and Elizabeth in the Bible. So my mom thought Elizabeth was too long. So she's like, we're going to do Mary Beth.
Well, and what's interesting even further, wife's side of the family, everyone calls her Beth.
Interesting.
And about, 6-8 months ago, I tried to start calling her Izzy, and she was saying, what's going on? What? And I said, well, I just think it's time I give you a nickname. She said, babe, it's been a really long time. You can't just introduce a nickname like midstream. It doesn't work that way.
I grew up in Houston, Texas, actually. And when I moved there, my friends didn't like my name, Mary Beth. They thought it didn't suit me. They started calling me Alex. So you look like an Alex. And since I had just moved, I know, weird, right? Since I had just moved there, I was in 9th grade and just trying to make friends. I was like, okay, you can call me Alex. So it did work. Like your wife said, it is, you can't just change it because I moved. And that's how everyone knew me. And so even on Facebook, if someone from high school, hey, what's up, Alex? I haven't been called that. As soon as I left Texas, I went back to my real name. But in the yearbook, it says Alex. Interesting.
That's incredible. That's a great story. Alex, not to be confused with Mary Beth, help us with this. What style of shoe would someone wear in the Cincinnati area, maybe yourself included in this, that would shock us or maybe, oh yeah, that makes sense. Somebody in Cincinnati, Ohio would wear that?
Gosh, Cincinnati's pretty cash. We're casual up in here. Not me. I'm all about heels. That's because I'm 5 feet tall. So I'm always in heels, except in the summer. I'll do flip-flops. I think we're pretty casual here. A lot of flip-flops going on. A lot of gym shoes, tennis shoes, whatever you guys call them. Where you from Oregon. What do you call them?
We're the other O state. Come on. We're the other O state. There's not many of us in the union, but yes, Oregon.
Oregon. So yeah, tennis shoes, gym shoes, casual. We're pretty casual here in Cincinnati, except for me and my heels.
So you wear heels only to make you seem taller? That's important to you?
You know what? It's just, I'm a girly girl. Like you said, like that's probably mixes in with this not liking sports too much thing. I was born that way, like just real girly. I like to dress up, like glam, and heels just kind of fits in there. And plus, it's a bonus that I'm 5 feet tall. And yeah, I do. I feel better, a little more powerful when I have like a 3-inch heel on. People can see me.
A 3-inch heel makes you like normal size girl. Is that what I'm hearing? I don't know. All right.
I'm still short. I'm still short. It's a little bit of a boost.
Everyone needs a way to get up and be seen. There's
I
something to
have a
that.
really big personality, so I think being a little bit, it's kind of shocking, to have like this big personality come out of this tiny person because I'm petite also. So it's just kind of heels help. Heels help.
Well, I like the name heel. That's another time for another place. But yeah, find out about heels maybe a little bit later. Some foreshadowing perhaps to our end of game show called Heel Hustles. All right. Well, help us with this. When you heard about or saw or read about or we reached out to you in regards to this idea of an X-ray, this idea of seeing hidden damage or unseen damage, what came to mind for you?
I just think it's so important that people are more transparent because a lot of us, and I've learned this from my coaching practice, a lot of us, we're all going through very similar struggles. We think it's only us. We think, oh, I'm different or I'm crazy and no one else has these addictions because that was kind of my background and my practice is a lot of addiction. And people think they're alone in this. Or with addiction, a lot of people don't even recognize it. Like myself, I was in denial for so long. And I like to share my story for that reason, can wake people up. So I kind of became what I needed before. It's interesting with alcohol because everybody does it. It's so normalized. It's glamorized even. Now that I don't drink, it's been about 5.5 years since I quit. I'm the oddball. Now before I was just fit in with everybody. It was just the normal thing to do. Everywhere you go, there's alcohol. And no one talks about the negatives. No one posts on Facebook, Instagram about their hangover or their anxiety they might be having in the middle of the night. I was already a life coach when I realized that I was addicted. I was actually adding a niche, addiction recovery, to my coaching practice. So that's when I really was like, oh my gosh. People had told me, my mom has thought that I drank too much, things like that. But my mom never had a drink in her life. I was just like, whatever. She's just being lame or she's controlling. She just doesn't understand alcohol because I'm just doing what everybody else is doing. I actually drank about the same or, less than some of my friends, to be quite honest. So that's who you compare yourself to. You don't compare yourself to non-drinkers. So when my mom would say that, I just ignored it. But yeah, when I really started learning about addiction and learning about alcohol and some of the negative things, I couldn't deny it anymore. When I say like I was in corporate and it was a struggle with addiction, because also I had this struggle with toxic relationships, struggle with food addiction. I have an addictive brain. I just didn't realize it. And I think that I just needed that wake up call that I think a lot of people don't ever get. If people don't talk about it, they're not transparent, they're not vulnerable. So here I am on social media every day being vulnerable, helping people understand not really normal to need to numb yourself out every day. It's not normal to just be looking forward to happy hour after work every day, which is what I did. Every day, I'd have friends that meet me for happy hour, and it was kind of just like a reward. But really what we're doing is escaping reality. We don't like our life for some reason. I did not like the corporate world. When I did finally get out of denial, it took me a couple years to actually completely make peace with getting rid of alcohol because I was trying to keep it. It was like my best friend. I started drinking honestly, my first drink was when I was 11 years old. And that sounds shocking. I didn't become a regular drinker at 11, but I did become a regular drinker at age 14 with addiction. Anyone listening probably would agree that it usually starts with a trauma. And I was also a really sensitive person. So, I pick up on energies a lot and other people's energies. So I would like walk into a room and I could feel how people are feeling. And that's a lot for a kid. My parents divorced when I was 5. And a lot of people don't realize that's a trauma. That is a trauma when your parents divorce. Then suddenly my dad's not there. And then I started thinking as a 5-year-old, well, if my dad can leave, then my mom can leave too. Like that's how I thought. And I started to get this generalized anxiety. So like, I can just tell you as a child, I was always anxious and it developed this abandonment wound. I thought like, oh my gosh. So like every time my mom would leave the house, I'd be panicking. So when I went on vacation with my friend at 11 and her family. They were pretty lenient. They had all this alcohol sitting on the counter at the condo that we were staying in Florida. We were just we were kids, we were just like, let's get into it. We made all these concoctions with just who knows what we poured, just a bunch of random things in a cup. And I was drunk. Here's the really messed up part. Huge red flag. I felt good. Like I was like, this is the first time in my life I didn't feel anxiety. Oh my gosh, it felt great to be numb. And I didn't even know until I felt relaxed how anxious I was. And what I could say now, because I'm older and I understand, I've studied this and I know all about it. I had a dysregulated nervous system my entire childhood since that divorce. And then my grandfather, my dad's dad, my paternal grandfather, I found out as an adult, he actually died when my mom was pregnant with me because he was alcoholic. He had died of cirrhosis of the liver. And so, I'm 50 now. So died 50 years ago at this point. No one talked about him. No one brought him up. It turned out he was extremely abusive, really horrible alcoholic. I do believe it's genetic. I think this stuff runs in the family. My dad had some struggles with alcohol as well. Like I said, my mom never drank though. So maybe that's kind of saved me a little bit because I didn't have like alcoholics on both sides. Truthfully, I don't call myself an alcoholic. I call myself, and that's not a lot of people like that, but I'm a spiritual life coach. And I just know how important it is to, when we say I am anything, you don't want to say I am and then something negative, because when we say those words, literally in creation mode, we're creating that experience in our life. I'm a law of attraction teacher too. I'm all about energy. We speak things into existence, quite literally. So I just say I'm a person who used to have a bad relationship with alcohol, and I no longer do. But it took me 2 years to really let it go. I was trying to drink like organic wine or beer. Since I don't really like beer, I tried to switch it up and just to keep it in my life because it becomes your best friend when you're used to it. And it was really affecting me in so many ways in my 40s. I didn't know the reason I couldn't sleep at night was alcohol because it disturbs your sleep. It's the science behind it is alcohol is a depressant. And what your body does is create stimulants to counteract that depressant. So about 4 hours after your last drink, your alcohol wears off. That wears off, and all you're left with is the stimulant. So a lot of people wake up in the middle of the night, like with their heart racing, their mind racing, and they don't realize that's because of the stimulants that their body, the natural thing for it to do is to create those to counteract that depressant of alcohol. And then you're just left overstimulated and with anxiety is what we call it. So that's at 3 a.m. is usually when that happened for me. And I just blamed everything on my hormones. I'm like, I'm at 40s, probably my hormones, because it's progressive. What once helped us with anxiety initially, it becomes something that's fire to your anxiety later. So that solution of it used to calm me down, it used to relax me, it actually became the thing that would create the anxiety in a horrible way too. So once I learned that when I was going through addiction recovery, when I was studying it to add to my practice, that's when I had to admit, like, this is what's happening to me. And sleep is so important. And I'm over here teaching people how to live their best life. I'm a life coach. I can't be a hypocrite. I have to live with integrity. I knew I had to get rid of it, but it did take me like 2 years. I became a person who, like, now that I figured out all the spiritual recovery things that I teach, I can help people heal pretty quickly. I didn't do AA, the reasons that I spoke about, because law of attraction wise, you don't want to tell the old story all the time. You don't want to be into old energy and a group telling that and saying, I am an alcoholic every day. For me, the way I teach it, and if AA works for somebody, I say whatever works. Keep whatever tools in your toolbox that you need. It didn't work for me. What I do is I just change my identity completely. We need to always replace these old addictions with better habits, healthier habits. And for me, that was spirituality. I've learned a lot of my clients, it works for them as well. And these spiritual practices that can replace that need to fill the void, because that's what we're doing. We're trying to numb out. We're filling a void, escaping our reality. Like I said earlier, it's just self-soothing. We really just want to feel better. That's why people do addictions. And there's so many addictions other than alcohol. Even work. Work is a huge addiction that destroys families, and people really downplay it. And then everybody's addicted to scrolling on our phones. That's like huge. A lot of people can let hours pass and realize, oh my gosh, I just scrolled on my Instagram for 3 hours. Oh my goodness. And that's like an escape from reality too. Video games, like gamers, it's okay to do some of these things. It's just like we got to really catch ourselves. Is it getting out of control? Because that's what a real definition of addiction is It's okay to do these things. I'll watch Netflix and things like that, but I gotta nip it in the bud when I see myself scrolling too long on the phone. Gosh, I was just watching Netflix for 2 hours. Like, come back to reality, come back to life. It's okay to do it a little bit. It's when it's having a negative effect on your life that we really need to check ourselves. Of course, everyone knows about gambling, but food was another one of mine. Same thing. We're just shoving down our feelings, numbing out, comfort food. That's the way we call it that, right? And so I had the food addiction too. And what I learned is I'm pretty bingey. I'm not good at moderation. People can have that dial where they can turn it up and down. Not me. Like, I don't want just one cookie, Neil. I want the whole box. I want the whole sleeve. Like, if something's good, I want a lot of it. And I think that comes from the genetics that I have the addictive brain.
How do you fix that? One, the vulnerability to say, hey, I'm not going to put that in the universe anymore. By the way, that's a new thought for me, truly, is to say, I'm no longer walking around saying, I am an alcoholic. I am whatever this is. I am, for guys, it's a common issue. I'm sure this has made it to Cincinnati. Dudes are struggling with pornography. I have a lot of friends.
Huge one.
Right. I have a lot of friends that have walked through that. And they say, well, I'm a porn addict, or I'm a this addict, or I'm a this, or, I have a good friend of mine who came out of prescription medications. He says, I'm a Oxycontin, addicted to this. I'm this. And you're saying, no, stop saying that. That's not who you are, is what I'm hearing you say.
You don't want to keep recreating that reality. I actually had an energetic shift, and it was through all the spiritual recovery stuff that I teach in my coaching practice. You're replacing those old addictions with something new. You quit saying the things. Get out there and meditate. Like, meditation is so important. We have so many distractions in our life. It's hard to tell when you have an addiction. We don't sit there and quiet our minds enough to really think about this stuff.
It just seemed like one day you woke up and was like, okay, no more. I can't do this anymore. And there was that switch of the light that goes on. Am I wrong in that?
You're wrong.
Okay. Please, yeah, and that's okay. I'm all right. Listen, I'm one of the few dudes you'll meet that says, hey, I'm okay being wrong, especially in this moment. So my mom grew up, and I use my mom only as an example. She had a lot of what you're talking about at her 6-month time of life. Her dad takes his life. Her whole growing up life, she's been told most, if not all of her life, you're the reason.
What?
You're the reason.
That
she was the
awful.
youngest child of, like, I don't know. I should know this, like 5 kids, I think it is. My mom's adult life has been spent in this cycle of, you're not enough. You're not enough. Mm-hmm. You're not enough. You're not worthy enough. You can't add value to a conversation. She said that once to me, and I was like, everyone can add value.
Absolutely.
Some people's value may be more, if we're going to look at it from a currency standpoint, maybe they have a different insight, but everyone brings value to a conversation. So that's why you're saying all this stuff. It makes me think of her. Her whole life, as I said, she's been told most of her life she's not enough. And it doesn't matter what you say to her. It doesn't matter how many times I say, Mom, you're enough. You're enough. You're enough. You're enough. Mom, I love you. You're enough. You're enough. She doesn't believe me.
And I'm sure she's also got abandonment wound on top of that.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of it. For me, when you're saying these things, not that you're my mom, because you're not, but you know what I'm saying? It's from the standpoint of somewhere along the way, Mary Beth said, okay, I'm putting on the noise canceling headphones in a sense to say, okay, no more. I'm blocking out the voices. I'm getting still and quiet, and I need to kind of be reborn. I mean, maybe that's too wooey. I don't know, but help me with that.
I'm all about woo woo. Yeah. I mean, my whole life though, I was a spiritual seeker, and I was always doing personal development work. So even I've only been a coach for 7 years because I was in the corporate world prior to that. I was drawn to being a coach because of the way I am. Like, people would always come up to me and share their life story. People have always felt comfortable being transparent. I feel like I'm finally doing my passion. I love what I do, and I love helping people. But like I said, I didn't even realize that I had this addiction until I was already 2 years into coaching. Once I learned to have to do something about it, I think background that I have already in spirituality and personal development got me there a lot faster. It's definitely a journey, but there's shadow work that needs to be done. I already knew about all of this stuff and just other subjects, not alcohol. So I knew what I needed to do. Shadow work, for your listeners, is bringing up some of these subconscious patterns and things that, and it's hard to do because by definition, we're not aware of subconscious stuff. That's why we need to talk to somebody like a therapist or a coach. And it's hard for us to see ourselves. It's easier for other people to see us. It's being willing and able to do this work, bringing up all of those rejected parts of ourselves that we don't really want to think about and talk about, and bringing it to the conscious mind, bringing it to the surface so we can heal it. It's not fun. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Once we find the root cause, then we can heal. I don't think it has to be long and drawn out. I really don't. Like, I think that if you tell someone it's going to take years and decades to heal, like years of talk therapy, then it will. Like I said, I'm all about this. We create our reality through our thoughts, our beliefs, and all we see every day is our beliefs. Everyone is going to be different in that way. And that's like a big thing that I teach with the law of attraction. Really use the law of attraction and principles to heal. It worked fabulous in such a way that I created a deck of cards called Addiction Recovery with the Law of Attraction, because it's got all the techniques that I use to heal my own addictions. And I did realize that because, like I said, I'm not a moderator, guess what? I'm fabulous at abstinence. You got to ask yourself, you got to be honest with yourself. It takes this really self-awareness. Self-awareness is huge spiritual. There's nothing more spiritual than being self-aware, because when you know yourself, you can change anything. For me, and I'm not saying this is for everyone, but for me, I knew just don't have that first drink. I don't have that ability to stop like other people do. I want one more, one more, one more. I keep going. Same with the cookies. Same damn thing with the cookies. So don't have the first cookie. Like sugar and fat combo, baked goods, these are things, processed foods, they are made to be addictive. So don't beat yourself up that it's hard to stop. It's made to be addictive. So for me, I'm amazing at abstinence because I'm an extremist. I'm either all in or all out. You know what I'm saying? And so
I don't. No, I'm not familiar with the all in or all out. No, don't know anyone like that. Nope. Never met him. Never met him.
Was able to do that, realizing, working on myself in a lot of ways. And that's the stuff that I teach people now that I know how to do it. Like I can help people pretty quickly. They don't have to take a lot of years to heal at all. Not even, it's just really just knowing what to do, knowing which thing to focus on. And that's really different for everybody because we all have different stuff. We all have different points of attraction, all have different things going on. And it's easy when I'm helping someone one-on-one, to be honest with you.
Makes me think of back to kindergarten when we were learning how to tie our shoes. Maybe that was even preschool for some of us. We look over and we see somebody just doing it really well. And we're like, man, I want to do it. Why can't I get loop, swoop, and pull? And I love what you're saying is the idea of coming alongside them, sitting next to them on the step and saying, no, come on, take the laces, make them the same length, make a knot. I love that kind of step by step. You can do this. You can make this happen. Because again, I think there's so many times in life, people have just tied themselves up in knots and they don't even realize it. And they look down at their shoe and they're like, man, that is a mess. And it takes somebody like you to come along and untie the knots.
Exactly. And it's different for everybody. When I first started coaching, I thought, I'm going to do this in session 1, this in session 2, this in session. There's things to do. It's not like that at all. With coaching clients, my partner, I'm offering guidance, but I'm also helping them guide themselves because we all have an internal guidance system. I'm helping them not be addicted to needing a coach, not being addicted to therapy, because a lot of people are learning talk therapy, same thing as AA. You're telling that old story over and over again. And you leave therapy. Sometimes I would leave crying. Like when I was getting divorced, I didn't feel better when I left. Coaching people, they're uplifted. It's totally different animal. You're working on goals. Sure, we talk about the past, but we're more bringing them to the present and your future, for your future goals. Like, what are we trying to do here? What I learned is everyone's so different. There is no such thing as this is session 1, this is session 2. My clients are also guiding how the conversations go. And everybody is so different with their backgrounds. It's so individualized. So that's how it works.
So I'm going to be really lame guy in the room here, okay? Lame guy in the room. So raising my hand to being lame guy in the room. I've heard of law of attraction. I sort of maybe know it. I don't really feel like I do know it. It feels like fractions of old school. I think I could reduce a fraction nowadays. I don't know if I could do long division. What is law of attraction for those that would be like, I've heard that again. I'm with Neil. We're walking in the same shoes because again, I don't want to be the one in the room going, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, no, thanks for asking. That's a great question. And I'm totally obsessed with it ever since 2006 when I first learned about it. So essentially, in a nutshell, everything's energy. Everything vibrates. It's not a religion. People call it woo-woo, but in reality, it's science. It really is. It's quantum physics. Like everything vibrates. You look at something under a microscope, it's vibrating. Everything vibrates at different frequencies, different rates, so to speak. Because everything is energy, including even our thoughts, our emotions, everything, we actually create our reality. And we can do this deliberately. Thoughts, because our beliefs, all of the stuff we're putting out there, and it is like attracts like what we put out, we get back. And sometimes it's very subtle. People think, oh, well, I attract what I am. And that's not always true. There's a lot of reasons we attract things. We can attract things. What I learned later in the advanced courses that I've taken is We attract what we judge, which is very subtle. And I was attracting toxic relationships were another one of my addictions. I was attracting narcissists and cheaters and liars. And I'm like, gosh, and I knew about the law of attraction. Then I start questioning myself. Why am I attracting this? Because I know I'm not this. So then is the law of attraction even real? And it is the universal law, just like gravity. We don't get to say, I'm going to apply the universal law of gravity today. Just like we don't say, I'm applying law of attraction. It's happening whether you believe in it or not. Like I said, it's not a religion. So you might as well learn about it so you can create your life deliberately. Yeah, I was attracting those narcissists, liars, cheaters because I had bad experience. I had trauma with it. So I was judging it. It was still an energetic spark in my body, in my system. I was still attracting anything that you have an energetic spark with, whether it's good or negative, you're going to attract in your life. So go ahead and judge people, judge things. You're going to start seeing everything you judge appear in your life. That doesn't mean that's what you are, but you're putting out that energetic spark. And we all have a different point of attraction, which is why people think, oh, law of attraction doesn't work because I think my way. Number one, you can't think your way only. Like you have to take action. You can't sit on a meditation cushion all day thinking happy, positive thoughts and have things flow to you. Law of attraction requires action, guys. We all have a different point of attraction, which kind of goes back to the subconscious mind thing that we were talking about. It's just a 3-part formula. Part 1 is all of our beliefs. Like your mom has a belief that she's not worthy. So that's going to be included in your point of attraction. Part 1 is all of our beliefs since birth. Everything that we've experienced, that's part of our point of attraction. All of that stuff that we haven't healed or dealt with, including the stuff we have healed. All part 1. Part 2 is a momentum. So we all have a different momentum. And it is also different with different subjects. So I had a bad momentum with toxic relationships. So, right. And I had a good momentum with work and making money and things like that. So we can have different momentum on different subjects. So that makes it even more complicated and more individualized, right, for each person. And then the third part of that point of attraction formula is how do I feel right now? So there's so many factors. And that's why it's complicated. And that's why it takes some self-awareness. It takes some work. It takes all the stuff to change. We have limiting beliefs. That's what I help people with a lot. Limiting beliefs are going to block everything. And a lot of times we're not even aware they're subconscious limiting beliefs. Like I'm not worthy or I don't deserve something. And even if it's money, we block it. Or just maybe we heard money doesn't grow on trees and it's hard to make money. It takes hard work. Well, as long as we have that belief, we're going to always what? We're going to need to feel like we're working hard in order to attract money. Now, like I can have money flow to me very easily because I don't have that block that I used to have. It's almost like you were creating some sort of resistance against allowing something to flow to us because we believe it's hard to make money. Well, now it's hard to make money because that's like I said, all we see is our beliefs. So in a nutshell, it's what we have an energetic spark with, what we intend and what we take action on, our thoughts, our feelings, and we want to have our thoughts and our feelings in alignment. We're literally electromagnetic beings. So our thoughts are electric and our hearts are magnetic. So we're always attracting. And a lot of people say positive affirmations, but they don't really believe them. They don't really feel them. So it's getting those in the heart and the mind into an alignment. And then that way we do attract better. And it just takes some work. Because we've got all this subconscious crap.
I wanted a non-Google response to that question.
Was that non-Google?
I just feel like it's authentic because it's you. It's your definition. And again, maybe it's a right-on definition of it. I feel like it's your definition. It's your experience with it. And so I think it carries value because it's your experience. It's your value. It's
my definition
exactly.
Mixed in with the real definition.
Thank you. Yeah. That's what I was looking for. I was trying to articulate that and was sucking at it. 13-year-old you, would she recognize the young lady that sits before me?
Hell no. Hell to the no, not even close.
Why?
Like even 45-year-old me doesn't recognize 50-year-old me. Honestly, each year, even 49-year-old me doesn't recognize 50-year-old me. And that's how it should be. We should always be growing and evolving. That's why we're here. We're here to grow. We're here to evolve. If we get stuck, people either have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. And those people, they're stuck because they just keep regurgitating the same stuff. They're not working. Like a lot of people are living on autopilot. They're doing the same thing every day. And then they wonder why their life never changes. Well, you're thinking the same thoughts. And that's part of the law of attraction thing is once you wake up and realize you're on autopilot. And this is why you're not changing. This is why you feel stuck in life is you're not doing anything differently. Neuroscientists say that 95% of our thoughts are the same as the day before, as the day before, as the day before. We're living most of our lives in subconscious mode instead of conscious creative mode. Yeah, I wouldn't recognize myself at all because literally I was so insecure wanted friends to like me. I think a lot of us are insecure at 13. I cared so much about what people think about me. I think that's the best part, is just getting to that point where you're confident in your beliefs and you're confident in who you are and you've done a lot of healing work. And I don't think anyone's ever fully healed. I'm not here to say, oh, I'm fully healed. I've got everything figured out. I look at things differently now. There's always going to be something to work on, even if we get triggered by something. Social media triggers me. Social media, sometimes people will write something that is crazy on one of my posts and I get triggered. And then it's really just, I look at it as a good thing these days. Like, wow, our triggers, someone who really annoys you or upsets you, it's showing you something that you still need to work on. It's showing you something that you haven't completely healed yet. It's showing you something that still has power over you. So I kind of enjoy being triggered these days because I'm like, oh, this is something new to work on. Like I said, I think we're going to go to our deathbeds still with things to heal. And that's okay. No one's trying to act like they're already perfect. But I definitely think when we catch ourselves, we start getting to that point where we catch ourselves doing this, stuff like in our triggers, old habits, old patterns. It's interrupting those patterns in the moment and switching it. We can, like, neuroplasticity is real. Like we can change our brains. We're not stuck. And part of that problem is people think they're stuck and they're truly not. Really being open to learn new things, get out of those old ways, get out of those old subconscious patterns. So yeah, I wouldn't recognize myself.
We had a season called If the Shoe Fits. One of our graphics was we borrowed, perhaps maybe a little bit from Disney, the glass slipper on one side.
Nice.
And then on the other side, we had a Jordan sneaker for the boys. And
sneaker. That was the word I couldn't think of earlier.
Sneaker, yes. That's a good one.
I was saying tennis shoes, gym shoes.
Yeah.
No, sneaker.
Sneaker, there it is. So anyway, it made me think of that because I think so many times in life, I'll make it a nice statement. I do think I'm stuck in this dead-end job. I'm stuck in this moment. You too even wrote a song about it, Stuck in the Moment. They recognize that people are stuck in the moments that they're in. But the reality is, you're saying, again, if I'm hearing you correctly, is you don't have to be. There's a way out.
I hated my corporate job. It was dead end. It was kind of almost like an abusive, toxic relationship dealing with corporate. It really is. You're just a number. They don't give a shit about you. And essentially created my own life. Like, I took the step. It takes action, like I said, with not just a passive situation. It takes doing work on yourself, and you just have to be willing do that. Willpower is only the willingness to do something. Like, people talk about willpower. Everybody has it if you're willing to. Like, you look at somebody who's got a big old belly, that person could lose the belly if they wanted to. It's just like, are they willing to do the things that it takes in order to get from point A to point B? Everybody can.
Well, you mentioned our time recording today. I'm willing to get up early.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do the things necessary to continue to move forward.
And set yourself up for success.
Exactly. And so I think that's the key, is you have to have that mindset of, if I'm going to continue to do whatever that adventure is, whatever that thing is, what are you willing to do? So I've been saying this a lot this season too. New year, new you. And so I think you're fitting right in with that. That's like our subcategory of our season, this idea of X-ray and looking into things. So Mary Beth, if somebody wants to connect with you, which I believe there would be some that would, we're going to put that out there using your wording. How can they best do that? What are the best ways to reconnect with you or to carry this conversation elsewhere? And then we'll play our game.
My website is the best way. I do offer a completely free discovery call. Coaching is not right for everybody. And I'm not right for everybody. I can tell you, I'm not a match for everybody because, you saw I'm a little bit woo-woo. I talk about things that not everybody's okay with. And I really want someone to be a match. So my website is day1lifecoaching.com, DAYONE, lifecoaching.com. You'll see right there how to click and set up that free discovery call with me one-on-one via Zoom. And that's where we figure out, like, hey, is coaching right for you? Am I right for you? If not, I'm usually able to guide people to something different, or maybe a program or something that would be more of a match. So if there's nothing to lose there with that call, it's a free call. And you kind of give me a little bit about your background, and I give you ideas of how I work, and we see if it's going to be a good fit. So that's the best way to reach me and get that free call.
Awesome. We will link that in our show notes, and so folks can click on that link. All right, Mary Beth, you've done a number of podcasts, our research department has told me. Is that accurate, or did they mislead me once again?
I've done a lot of podcasts since I joined Podmatch. Yeah, I've done like 45 the past 2 months.
45? Wow, that's impressive.
It's hard for me to say no.
On any of them, have you played a game yet?
Yeah, there's been a couple, not this one.
All right, not this one. All right, well, this is Zach. He's going to tell us about our game. Zach, take it away.
All right, Zach.
It's now that time in the show to play the fastest growing game in the podcast podcast world. We call it Heel Hustle. Today, our guest will try to answer all 6 of these questions in 60 seconds or less to win an Amazon gift card. Amazon not responsible for this commercial spot, nor did they pay to let us use their name. Audience, feel free to play at home. Are you ready? Let's put 60 seconds on that clock. Ready, set, hustle!
The game begins in 3, 2, 1.
All right, 60 seconds. One person you would trade places with for a week.
Oh gosh, one person I would trade places with for a week. I'm stumped. I can't think of anyone. Okay, let's say next question.
Guilty pleasure.
Oh gosh, Bachelorette. Watching The Bachelorette. It's so horrible. I know. It's embarrassing.
Best compliment you've ever received.
You have good energy.
Worst piece of advice you've ever received.
To get married young and just like not take care of yourself and expect someone else to take care of you.
What's something you wish you were better at?
That first question that you asked me.
Fair enough. What is something that never fails to make you laugh? Hurry!
That never fails to make me laugh is comedy shows.
Nice. Well done.
I love comedy shows.
I don't know if we can count that as a win because you skipped question 1. Now that you have more time, is there anybody you'd trade places with for a week?
Trade places with for a week.
Week's
I don't
a long
know why
time,
this
by
is
the
so
way.
hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
I
question.
know. Why is this so hard? Why? Maybe Taylor Swift.
It's a good one.
She's got some nice life going on right now, right? Like she's got it all.
What that would mean you'd have to be around Travis Kelce though. How would that sit with your Bengals friends?
Oh gosh, I don't think I give a shit. Sorry, Taylor, for not thinking of you earlier. I mean, like she just got a fabulous, lifestyle going on right now. That would be fun. That would be super fun.
All right, Taylor Swift. I like it.
My mind went blank on that for some reason.
It's a hard thing. And the pressure of the song and it's a lot. It's a lot of pressure. Zach does a great job. Good job, Zach.
I've never thought about like trading lives with anybody, like ever. Like, and that's good because that keeps me sane. I don't compare myself to other people. I compare myself to myself though. Like I always want to improve over myself, but I think it really is true that comparison is a thief of joy.
It is.
It really is.
It is. We came up with that game, so we'll see how well it lasts. We're
Sorry,
trying
I failed.
it out.
Am I your first failure?
No, you're not. There've been a few, very small number, but very few. Mary Beth, I just want to say thanks for being here today. Really obviously love your energy, love what you gave, love what you shared. Really appreciate you so much. Thanks for giving us some moments today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys and gals, kids and campers alike, that is it. That is all. That is our show today. So let me ask you something. This is sort of silly, sort of not. Do you like Chinese food? What's your favorite element of the Chinese food? One thing I've never been able to get around when it comes to Chinese food is the fortune cookie. Yeah, that's right. It's always stale, nasty. I don't know. It's just not good. But I imagine just for a second, if you crack open that fortune cookie, you read inside, and we always laugh at it. My wife always likes to add, in the bathroom, whatever it says you add into the bathroom at the end of it. Was in middle school when I started doing this. So maybe this is why I say in the bedroom, which also could be a whole new animal there. I know I'm embarrassing myself right now. But hear me, what if you cracked open, or what if you somehow got this amazing sign that comes to you and you're like, there's no way this is true. I feel a little bit of that happened today. What have you been telling yourself for so long that isn't true, that isn't real, that isn't right, that isn't helpful? When you're all by yourself and you're in the car and you're like, I did that stupid thing again, or I'm only this, or I'm gonna be that. Why do we do that? I don't know. Something to ponder today. If you're struggling with that, would you let me know? I'd love to know. OPSpodcast.com is a great place to let me know. You can let us know on the socials at OPS Podcast Show on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Or you can even let my friend Mary Beth know. She'd love to help you too. Remember this as we go. Remember, when you walk in other people's shoes, you really do gain a different perspective on life. Hope you have a great week, and we will see you right back here next week as we walk in other people's shoes.